Thinking Aloud. Conversations on the leading edge of knowledge and discovery with psychologist Jeffrey Mishlove.
Over here, the tradition is one in which people experience God or don't experience God. That's much more the question, not whether God exists or not, which is really a kind of a hypothetical question, a speculative question. Here it's a question of whether that experience has been had or not been had. So I think similarly over here, paranormal powers, either you experience them or you are on the way to experiencing them. Never a question whether they exist or not.
But in many spiritual traditions, including some forms of yoga, I'm sure, maybe because they've been influenced by British Victorian culture, I don't know. There's this notion that paranormal abilities are a distraction, something to be avoided. They might help reinforce the ego. They're going to prevent one from achieving enlightenment. But the tantric tradition is a little different than that, is it not?
Yes, you're very right there again, Jeffrey, because I think there is it's not only due to Victorian sort of morality, but I think there is a somewhat legitimate concern that some yogis have felt, because it's true that one might get stuck in exploring paranormal powers and not achieve the higher states of consciousness. So they've warned against getting stuck there. They've said evade them or avoid them, etc. But the tantric tradition has always believed in assimilating and incorporating, in becoming fully what one's potential is, and traveling up the scale of consciousness and experiencing the whole of the ladder of consciousness. So I think, you know, the Indian teacher Sri Aurobindo was of the opinion that we use power whether we like it or not. Everybody is using some kind of power. We are using secular power. A person is given a certain office. That person uses the power of that office. So if we have latent powers within us, we should use them to the best of our ability. I mean, we should use it for good. And our understanding of what is good can change depending on our state of consciousness. So we should raise our state of consciousness rather than, you know, put a taboo on the use of these powers.
But would it be fair to say that in the Indian Sanskrit spiritual traditions, there are in effect two distinct threads, one being that liberation is achieved by escaping the bonds of conditioning, and the other that liberation is achieved by gaining power over the world of conditioning?
Yes, yes, absolutely. I think there are two traditions that develop over time, and sometimes they are loosely equated to the Vedantic and the Tantric traditions. The Vedantic tradition, particularly post-Shankara, has tended towards empowering the escape from material pursuits. And the Tantric tradition has been concerned with enjoyment and the enhancement of power in the material world. I think there are three major goals in Tantra. One is power, one is enjoyment, and the third is immortality, physical immortality. So these things are also seen as not very legitimate in the traditional Vedantic tradition. But over time, there have been a variety of synthesis of these two as well.
You might view it as one tradition saying liberation is achieved by letting go of all desires. And the other is liberation is achieved by fulfilling all desires.
Exactly.